Welcome to episode 53 of Motivating Mondays, a weekly podcast and YouTube series dedicated to help Canadian job developers and other employer engagement professionals develop the tools, resources, expertise, and network to excel in achieving sustainable employment outcomes for their clients or students. My name is Christian St. Cyr, National Director of the Canadian Job Development Network, and today we're going to look at the different ways that employers value hard skills versus soft skills when evaluating job candidates. Employers may say that they value problem-solving skills, but how do those skills stack up against working at point-of-purchase terminal or using industrial first aid? You know, Stats Canada released this study last week titled Analysis on Employee Skills Gaps, exploring the challenges that employers face in recruiting the workers that they need. Immediately, I saw this as an opportunity to better understand what employers are looking for, but what I was startled by to read was the number one skills gap is in workplace-based skills. In fact, the desire for skills to do the job was noted 3 times more often than any other single category. So here's how it breaks down on the skills that would have the most positive impact in the workplace. The number one response, technical or practical or job-specific skills. 30.7% of employers said that was the skill that was most important to them. This was followed by customer service at 10.2%, critical thinking at 9.6%, problem solving also at 9.6%, teamwork at 6%, basic computer and digital skills at 5.4%, management skills at 5.1%, oral and written communication skills 4.3%, basic math and calculating 1.1%, work ethic 0.8%, and reading comprehension at 0.5%. In fact, as I review this list, I see that critical thinking, 9.6%, problem solving also 9.6%, teamwork at 6%, and work ethic at 0.8% were really the only categories that could be defined as soft skills and barely a quarter of responses. In most cases, employers are looking for hard skills or technical skills based on experience and or training that qualify the person to do the job today. As I read this report, I thought to myself, employers are showing a preference for hard skills. Soft skills are still important, but there's still a preference for hard skills. It occurred to me that this sounded really familiar, but I wasn't really sure where it was familiar from. Then I remembered a Bank of Montreal study from years ago where employers noted the number one factor in hiring candidates was personal fit. They wanted someone they liked who would be a good fit for their customers and for their colleagues. Here's the problem. No one ever selects who to interview based on soft skills. They select candidates for the interview based on the collection of work experience, qualifications, education, or even technical skills. And I would say yes, employers definitely hire based on personal fit. But it's just not based on everyone who applied for the job, but instead a handful of people that they ended up interviewing. So how does this dichotomy between soft skills and hard skills fit? Employers will tell you that they hire for personality, but they interview for consistent work experience. Employers will tell you they hire for soft skills, but they clearly hire for hard skills. How many times have you been told by an employer that they want someone who's ready on day one? How many times have you been told they want someone with Canadian experience? Whether your experience is Canadian or not, it shouldn't really matter if you're a hard worker, a creative problem solver, or a team player. Reading this, I was both surprised and it completely validated what I've been thinking about employers all along. What I wonder is, why does the entire career development sector make such a big deal about soft skills or transferable skills or essential skills or life skills or whatever you want to call them? I believe in life, when you're trying to convince someone of something and you have good deeds and good intentions, you sell yourself on your good deeds. If you don't have good deeds, you sell them based on your good intentions. I'll work hard. I'll learn. I'll really impress you. We do this in work. We do it in relationships. We want to demonstrate we're capable, so we used examples of past experience. What is the maxim that we're all familiar with? What speaks louder than words? Actions. Actions speak louder than words. Put another way, what have you done for me lately? Even Stephen Covey in his pivotal 7 Habits book, states, "Your actions speak so loudly I can barely hear your words." Whether the actions are based on training, education, or past work experience, this is what employers are using to decide who to hire. In the career development sector, we often don't have good deeds, or more specifically, our clients lack specific, relevant experience, related education and training, or consistent work experience. In the absence of this, we're trying to sell people based on good intentions, or more appropriately to this conversation, based on soft skills or transferable skills. To use an extreme, outrageous example, if you want to hire a brain surgeon who'd never performed brain surgery before, but he has a really good attitude, or he's really going to try hard, and he'll definitely learn as he goes along. No, you're going to go with the best brain surgeon available, and frankly, employers want to hire the best candidate available in any situation. It's not to say that soft skills don't matter, they just can't be our primary pitch. Here's a rule of career development, something all job developers should know. Everyone we pitch to an employer should be capable of doing the job. Maybe they're not going to be the best, and maybe they have a lot of learning to do, but that they can do the job. If we're pitching people who we know can't do the job, we're doing a tremendous disservice to the employer, to your client, and really, frankly, to yourself. Maybe you don't know if they can do the job, but it's very different than actually knowing they can't and still pitching the employer. If we know they can do the job, we can sell them based on what they can do. They're familiar with Microsoft Office. They've done social media scheduling through Hootsuite. They've worked on both arc and oxyacetylene welding. Employers have been telling us for years that they want people who are ready to go on day one. If we're telling them what a great addition to the team they're going to be and ignore the technical components of the job, we are unconsciously telling the employer that they're not ready. You may be a little concerned that your client isn't ready on day one, and this is perfectly acceptable. We don't want to place them on a work site. We want to get them an interview. Talking work skills is how we capture the employer's interest, and then it's our client's responsibility. It's our client's opportunity to sell themselves in the interview. Why is this important? Because, according to the Bank of Montreal, most employers will hire based on personal fit. If we can get our clients an interview, those soft skills will then come into play. I believe there are a few lessons to take from this research. Any opportunity a client has to take skills training, they should. A good friend of mine worked as a painter in the film industry for many years. He said to me once he's gotten so much work in his career because he has first aid, and they need someone on set who has first aid, and they happen to need a painter. He's never needed to apply anything more on the work site more than a Band-Aid, but it's always gotten him work when he needed it. Whether it's short-term training, a certificate, a diploma, a degree, increasingly employers are looking for people who are prepared and ready to work. It's not a perfect system. You might get feedback from employers or from clients about not valuing training, but I believe training is a better alternative than pitching a resume without anything. Speaking of resumes, soft skills on resumes have their place, but the more prominent they are, the more noticeable it is the lack of hard skills. If you have your clients sift through job postings and job descriptions and resume examples and skills profiles to include as many hard skills in their resume as possible. If people are proficient or experienced or skilled in particular areas, that's terrific. But it can still garner an employer's interest if they're saying the candidate is familiar with, or has been exposed to, or has some experience in a particular skill set. So often, job candidates are downplaying their skills and abilities, whether in a job interview or in a resume. Candidates need to make the most of what they can bring an employer. It's frustrating that employers place such a high priority on hard skills, as well as experience and education and other qualifications. This said, if we can get our candidates past those expectations, then they can be based on their soft skills and what they can contribute to the organization. We can look at a study like this and be frustrated, but it's also helpful to understand how employers really think, how they make decisions. This allows us to speak to what they value, make the best case possible to let our candidates demonstrate their abilities when they get an opportunity for that face-to-face connection with an employer. By the way, we've now been publishing the new labor market reports for the new jurisdictions, so Alberta, the Prairies, and Atlantic Canada for 3 weeks. We're just wrapping up our free trial, which is ending on April 30th. Anyone who starts a subscription between now and April 30th will get a 10% month after month after month on a 10% discount on their subscription. If you have any questions about either the Alberta, the Prairie, or the Atlantic labor market reports, as well as British Columbia and Ontario, just go to www.jobdevelopment.org and click on the appropriate labor market report. I just want to thank you so much for joining us. Please click the like or subscribe button in your platform. Search for Motivating Mondays wherever you download podcasts. We'd also like it if you could subscribe to our YouTube channel and or rate or review this podcast. Now, we do these sessions live and for free with job developers all across Canada every Monday morning, and it'd be so great if you could join us. Just go to jobdevelopment.org to learn more. If you have any questions, send me an email. My email address is cstcyr@labormarketsolutions.ca. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have an amazing week.